The barbershop has always been, as they said, Cedric the Entertainer said in the movie, the black man's social club. And in barbershops, men talk a number of conversations. And then once upon a time, the barbershop was able to be that way because it was mostly men in there. And what we find out that most of these black men, like the young men we work with, have failed relationships in their lives. And even though they may have been 40, 50, and 60 years old, they had still issues from their teenage years that they never closed the door on or never got assistance on, and they put it away. And from there, you see the acting out, the walking away from families, the domestic violence at times. When it comes to healing, we can't heal others till we heal self.
All right, hey, shalom, shalom. Most High Christ bless you, y'all. We back again, another barbershop talk. I'm Officer Iuic.
Auxilia.
And I got
Officer Hezekiah.
Hey, Iuic Seattle. As you guys know, we doing this barbershop talk. We coming to you with a fresh new episode. Hey, today we're in Tacoma and we're at JQ's Barbershop. All right. So we about to go on up in here. We about to check it out, see what they talk about. Hey, see if we can show them a little thing or two that's in the Bible based upon their conversation. So stay tuned, all right? Hey, shalom. Barbershop talk.
¿Habla español? ¿O puertorriqueño? Yo soy de Salvador, salvadoreño. Yeah, man, so, yeah, we just come in y son las verdades de nosotros. No sé por qué la raza la hacemos nosotros, estamos abajo. Yo fui a Puerto Rico, los dominicanos ahí están, ¿me entiendes? Sufriendo mucho todavía, pobres. Cada año se pone exterior en los países de nosotros. México, ¿me entiendes? Guatemala, ¿no? The caravan, la gente que estaba yendo de los países de ellos para venir acá. ¿Solo para qué? La más atrás, ¿me entiendes? En New Jersey, well, I mean, I think poverty is poverty. Poverty is just going to get worse as it goes. So, only way to make a difference is to work together as well and try to make a difference together. You know what I mean? That ain't gonna happen until we all come together. Until you come together, it ain't gonna happen. I just rather like crabs in the barrel. You know, like there's kids out there right now in poverty that ain't got no more playgrounds. How many playgrounds in the hood? Ain't no playgrounds. I got a question. Yes, sir. So, that being said, so like with what you guys support and you know what the Bible talks about, when in the end times there's supposed to be a lot of killing, the whole purpose of of Satan is to steal, kill, and destroy, correct? Okay. So with that being said, the wars going on, everybody, kids are killing their parents, parents killing the kids, all that stuff says is in the Bible, right? So all that stuff is going on. So what happens? What are the child of the kingdom, which is Jesus Christ, what are they walking in the end times as far as the reason I'm asking that because some people, I grew up in the church. I know the church, I know the word. Right. Have I strayed away? Yes. Have I not followed what the Bible says now that I'm a grown man? Yes, I have. I went out to the military, and when you go to the military, I can speak for most people who grew up in the church. I'm a PGK. My grandparents passed my church back home. So I'm asking this because I asked my grandpa this, and my grandpa, I just want to get a second opinion. My grandpa said, well, your weapon is the Bible. The Bible speaks, how you're supposed to live, because most people don't know, but he always told me as a kid that Holy Bible means he left me basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Right.
And
these are instructions that, as a Christian, we have to go by. You know, because in the end times, you know, we go, you know, God, they allow Satan to utilize people to stray them away from being influenced by following the walk that Jesus Christ wants us to walk.
Right.
But at the same time, in that process, while that's happening, that if you are a potential person that he sees that on the road that will walk the path, walk the rightful path, he'll stray you away. With using his, you know, women, lust, you know, poverty, you know, different things that the Satan that wants to utilize you to pull you, because everybody has their own, what is it? Vice. Everybody has their own weakness, right?
This is the love that we're missing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was same way, you know, growing up, I was taught the wrong things, followed the wrong things, you know. The love that I thought I was getting was negative. You see what I'm saying?
How do you change yourself?
How do you change that? That's a great question.
Okay, you change that because you can love something. Nowadays, you love people. When you try to love people, they don't even know what that is. It's so strange to them that they think you want something from them later on. So they wait your life. So how do you change that?
That's how you change it. And when you go to other neighborhoods, you believe it. Memphis, Chicago, LA. According to the Bible, it says that Deuteronomy 7:6 says, "Thou art a holy people." Now, in the Bible, it says a holy people, somebody that God chooses. Since thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen you to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. If we just give the acknowledgement, the encourage how good of just who you are, letting know your nationality, you raise self-esteem. I wouldn't look at my brother. There's too much black and brown crime going on. You see what I'm saying? Like the brother got killed over there on Hilltop this week, right? You don't see his picture being posted on the wall, right? But I say a cop killed somebody right now, it's big news. But no one really talks about how much we kill each other. But we see the value in each other.
So if your weakness is, as you're using for an example, if your weakness is drugs, it's gonna put it all in your face. If you got a wife, right, your wife's gonna start using drugs, which is gonna influence you to use drugs, right? So you put people in your life to stray you away from the walk. You know, because there's two paths that we all have the opportunity to choose. You choose the rightful path, and everybody knows the rightful path is the hardest one to go down. It's the most narrowest. It says it in the Bible. It says it in the Bible. The rightful path is the narrowest one. It's the one that's hard to stay on. But in the wrong path that everybody is so easy to go down, it's the widest. It's easy to walk down that path because it's so easy to make mistakes. It's so easy to fall back into those old ways that we did as a child growing up there. We might not even have that positive straight road growing up by our parents. You know, I didn't really have the best parents. I needed to have them, and you know, we all have them. You know, some have, some haven't. But at the same time, my question to you guys is, what do you do as a Christian that if you did walk down that path and now we are in those end times, how do we stay down the narrow path without disobeying the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. Because sometimes, you know, let's say for example, you know, and I don't wish this on nobody, you walk out and some person feels that you have money, they want to take you, right? So they may try to hurt you or may try to, you know, kill you. So what do you do without disobeying the Bible, disobeying the 10 Commandments? That's what he wrote he wants us to do. So how do you keep yourself living without actually going against God's will?
How do you saying?
Yeah.
So first thing is, a lot of times, especially growing up in Christianity, right? Because that's what we call ourselves. That's how we call ourselves Christians today, right? It's based upon Christianity. But the first Christians, there was no Christianity involved, was the apostles, right? That's the first time they were called Christians. Why? Because they followed the steps of Christ. That's what you're making reference to, because you spoke of the 10 commandments, right? Well, there's multiple commandments, more than 10, right? But then at the same time, we get confused because Christianity make us believe that we can't defend ourselves, we can't do none of that. When you go into the Bible, they always defend themselves. Exactly, right? Okay. So watch this first thing, what you talked about, how people come into your life, right? Go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 3. Start at verse 3.
First Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 3. That no man should be moved by these afflictions. For yourselves know that we are appointed thereunto. For verily, when we were with you, we told you before that we should suffer tribulation.
So remember, this is Paul talking to the men that were believing in Christ in Thessalonica, right? He's telling them, look, you know you're appointed from the beginning. He said, you're gonna suffer afflictions. It's going to happen. You're gonna suffer tribulation, right? So we know we're gonna suffer these things, but does that mean that you stop doing the will of God? That's what he's telling them. No, watch, read.
We told you before that we should suffer tribulation, even as it came to pass, and ye know. For this cause, when I could no longer forbear, I sent to know your faith, lest by some means the tempter,
Unless by some means the tempter
have tempted you, and our labor be in vain.
You see that? What happens is, that's what you're talking about. You get tempted.
In a form of a fashion, we do that. We do politician all day long. All day long.
In the hood, we jump around with politics. But we need to be more aware of what's going on in the world, the actual politics with these dudes. You know what we're talking about. To get ahead of the game, right? So we need a lot of brown and black politicians.
How about this? So let's say the politic game, their politic game, it's a board game. But they made the board game, they made the money, they made the cards, they made it.
It's a board game card. It's a board game called chess.
How about this? Now you
It's called checkmate. Checkmate all everything they set up.
So now you're the player going into their game that they created, which they can manipulate and change certain things at any point.
But they put it out there for us. We don't know no better because we didn't knowledge ourselves.
But once we get in
Then
there,
our knowledge ourselves, we won't be in a stupid ass chessboard.
that's the thing though. It's their game though. How about this? The money. It has their faces on it. It's you know what I'm saying? How can we?
It's slavery still.
It's still real.
If you look at a dollar bill, you see all the details in that dollar bill when it got sense to something that it did back here.
And it's true. And guess what we do as a people? Gravitating pictures of stacks of the faces, not knowing. That's nothing to glorify these people that
They glorify because they want once they got the money. Right?
You got
They get the power, they get the respect, and they got the money.
get destroyed so hard. Going into
Exactly. So they give me the money. So if I approach every person that I talk to, they say if you become a millionaire, we can change who you are. No, that's a lie. You're gonna change. You're gonna change the way you think. You're gonna change the way you buy. Once you start buying rich people food, your whole body start thinking different, and you start moving different.
Romans 12. This is how we're gonna come together. Romans 12 as a people. This is the only way we can do it. Book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2. That's crazy. They're taking pictures of stacks. The book of Romans, that's crazy. Here we go, sorry. The book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2. And be not conformed to this world. This world is corrupted. Taking pictures of bands with slave masters' pictures on. Read. But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's how we gotta come together, by changing our mind. If we find out who we truly are, we're gonna view ourselves accordingly. We're not gonna be doing drugs. None of that. Because we're gonna come out of that world. Finish that. That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. That's the thing, the will of God.
How do we get tempted? Go to James, you know what I want, chapter 1. Watch, how do we get tempted? Remember, the tempter, all he does is tempt. Right? But like you said, if your weakness is something, that's how you get tempted. Watch, read it.
Straight to the point.
Nope, start at 11.
Sir. James chapter 1, verse 11. For the Son is no sooner risen.
12, sorry.
Verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation.
It said, blessed is the man that endured temptation. Read.
For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life.
So if you can endure the temptation when you're tried, you receive the crown of life. Meaning what? You can overcome the temptation. Read.
Which the Lord hath promised to them that love him.
It's been promised to us, right? Read.
Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God.
Why? Because God's not tempted you. Read.
For God cannot be tempted with evil.
How come God can't be tempted with evil? Evil is going to explain it. Read.
Neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust.
You're tempted when you're drawn away of your own lust. That's why God can't be tempted by evil. Because he don't lust after that. You see that? Every man's tempted when they're drawn away by their own lust. That's how it happens. Read.
And enticed.
And then they get enticed, like you were mentioning.
Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin.
So once now you in your brain said, I'm going to do that, I want that, it bring forth what?
It bringeth forth sin.
Now that's what you was talking about. Now you're breaking the commandments of God. Right? Read.
It says, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death.
That's talking about the second death. Now you're not going to get salvation, right? Read.
Do not err, my beloved brother.
It said, don't err what?
My beloved brother, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above.
So you have to understand, what God has given us is perfect and good. Meaning what? The commandments. You see that? What he's given us. Now we have to think about this. Okay, now it's talking about us having to keep something, to do something. You stay there, jump up to 22.
Verse 22.
Watch.
But be ye doers of the word.
Be doers of the word, what?
And not hearers.
Because that's where we're at today. In Christianity, what do? We go sit down in the pew and we listen. And we listen. And pastor said, and we hear. But the Bible said what? Yeah, you feel me?
But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only.
But the Bible said be doers and not hearers only.
Deceiving your own selves.
That's how we deceive our own selves. That's why so many people out here are deceived. Because we're actually not doing the work. So what your grandpa said about the basic instructions and about making sure you do it. That's why the Bible's a weapon. Because you're actually doing what it says. Now guess what? We don't learn that today in church. Inside of church. We don't learn what God's will is for us. Go to Psalms 40 and verse 8. Because when we say God's will, what does that really mean? Like when you say God's will, what does that mean? Well, you mentioned 10 Commandments, so I guess that may, for you, that means that, right?
Nation to come back and follow this instruction. How do you feel?
Do you think that a lot of people that are in poverty right now, if they have the opportunity to become successful in somewhat in their lifetime, would it be so much crime as it is now if they really had the opportunity to actually be that person?
If they have the opportunity in the right circumstances, education, yes, they can overcome it. But when there's obstacles,
There's going to be obstacles anywhere.
listen to this now. We as a people have more obstacles than other nations, than other
For sure, all day long. Because we don't have the funds, first of all. We don't even have the right schools.
Come on, man.
Because a lot of people that work in the poverty schools, they live in the poverty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't get a fucking rich teacher from fucking Beverly Hills to come down to motherfucking New York and teaching the motherfucking middle of the motherfucking.
And then what are they teaching them? They're not teaching you how to succeed in the world. They're teaching you how to be a
Teachers right now are the lowest years up in pay rate. They are, man. And you know what's fucking up that is
if you actually can pay the teacher, they would probably actually take their time to really actually explain it. You know what I'm saying?
So why are they so underpaid when this is
They're underpaid because they don't want us to learn.
Come on,
they don't want us to get ahead of them.
there you go already?
So why you think none of the best schools are in the rich neighborhoods?
Well, it was crack, heroin, and you know what? Now it's I don't even know what it is, and they're yelling. They're like their mind is gone. That's crazy. And who's bringing those? You know what I'm saying? It's just that's right.
Who bring the guns and who bring the drugs?
Now the natives, what are they like? If you go to a Native American right now to this day, go to one of their powwows, they're gonna dress up in their native gear, and what are they gonna have at the bottom of their native? They're gonna have it. The natives, they think that that's just what culture. But no. The natives did what? Second Esdras. That's what the natives did. Just like you heard about 12 tribes, a lot of times, back in the day, I know, we used to hear about the lost 10 tribes. That's just the natives and Latinos.
Why did he get in trouble?
Because he didn't follow this shit because he wanted to listen to her.
He's the head of the household. She did it, told him about he did it. He got mad at her. He said, no, I'm not mad at her. I'm mad at you. I told you, you're the man.
Yeah, bro.
What are you doing? From the beginning.
A woman will tear a freshen up.
A scorn of a woman. That's real. What is that?
Share talents. And that's what it's about. We come together. We learn the
The Bible says constantly in truth. The truth is over.